guys, welcome back to my channel, and I'm just so glad that you have joined me. I'm Daisha, and we are going to start a new video series. If you see a tail or hear whining or barking, it's my dog, so don't worry about him. Anyway, our series is going to be called Steps to Dealing with Change Until We Reach the Unchanging Heaven. So like I told you in my last video, I've been going through a lot of change with moving and my dad passing away. So yeah, we're just gonna get real, talk about change, and see what some of the verses in the Bible says about change and about God. So let's get started. So this is going to be like a 5-part video. So this first video is about anchor your life in the changeless God while loosening your grip on the things of earth. So our thing as Christians is we should be hanging on to God. We should be hanging on to God in everything, and He's never changing. He doesn't change, He doesn't disappear, He doesn't leave you. Whereas earth, we need to be loosening our grip on earthly things, on stuff that we want, on just things that earth is telling us that we need, the thing that the world is telling us that we need. We need to loosen our grip on that and instead place it on God, who never changes. So the first point that we're going to look at is God does not change. He doesn't change. He is the same yesterday, today, tomorrow, in the future, and 100 years from now. He is going to be the same. He does not change. So we're going to look at 2 Bible verses. So the first one is Psalms 102, 25 through 27. So let's get that. So it says, this is talking about God here. In the beginning you laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain, and they will all wear out like a garment, but like clothing you will change them, and they will be discarded. But you remain the same, and your years will never end. So it's just talking about how God made this earth, and it's going to change. It's going to wear out. It's going to die. But He remains. Through it all, He remains. And He's there changing it. He's the one that is disposing of things. He is there. And His years will never end. He never gets old. He never dies. He never gets sick. He never gets bored. He's always there. The second verse is Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. It's just reaffirming that Jesus will never change. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that is never going to change. He's always going to be that way. So the second one is you can trust in Him because He is working all change for your good. Now this can be really hard. I know that I struggle with this. I struggle with realizing that change is good and that He can bring amazing things out of change. And that was hard to see, like when I moved to where I am now. I mean, it's 2 hours away from everything that I knew. It's 2 hours away from my friends, from the church I used to go to, from places that I'm familiar with. So it was a huge change, and I moved with my parents basically kicking and screaming at first. and I didn't understand why God was taking me up here, what he was doing, like why he was uprooting my life and taking me out of where he had placed me since I was 11. And so it was really hard to see the good in this change, in this massive change. But now I see the good. He brought me up here and gave me my dream job as a preschool teacher. I mean, I never thought I'd be a preschool teacher at 24. I never thought that at all. I thought I wasn't going to be a teacher until at least 27, going through school and all that kind of stuff. But he gave me my dream job at 24. Now, I was 22 when I got hired, and I was an aide for the first year. But it's like, that's one of the reasons why he brought me up here. And it's amazing that he did this change for good, because I work at a Christian school that I love. I get to talk about God every day to little kids who just sit there and listen. And you can tell that they're eager. They want to know more. And I want that in my own life. I want to be eager. I want to be excited to learn about God and who he is. It's just amazing. So we're going to look at Romans 8:28, which says, Romans 8:28. Sorry. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So he always has something good for you. Even if you're at your lowest possible point, there is something good that is going to come out of that. There's always something good. Like if you're in the depths of depression, he can bring you out of that with new perspective. And he can use your experiences to help someone else and maybe save their life. It's amazing what God can do. It's amazing how he uses change for good. And sometimes, like I said before, like sometimes in the moment, it's really hard to see that those changes are for good, because they can be really hard and really sad and really hurtful. Like when he took my dad away. But I've been praying that my dad would be healed, because his body was so broken. And he did. He healed my dad. Not in the way that I wanted him to. But he healed him to the utmost. He took him to heaven to be with him and gave him a new body where he could walk and he could run and he could jump and he can do things that he hadn't been able to do for years. And so I just think about that every day. Like whenever I'm missing my dad, I'm like, yes, I miss my dad, but I would never want him back in his broken body. His body was so broken. And so that's one of the changes that, like, yes, it's hard, it's devastating. I cry every day about it. But also it's like he did it for the best of my dad, and so my dad's not hurting anymore. And the last little bullet point that we're going to go over is draw your joy from eternal truths and hopes rather than your earthly experiences. Because with our earthly experiences, happiness or joy comes and goes. But if we focus on God and we seek our joy from him, we can have joy in the midst of our darkest times, in the midst of our hardest things that we ever have to go through. Like I can have joy in the midst of losing my dad because I know that he is in heaven and one day I will get to go and see him. I can have the joy in the midst of moving because I know that God is using it for something good. I can have joy in the midst of my depression because I know that God's going to I don't have depression, but in the midst of depression, to have joy and hope that I'm going to come out of it and God is going to use me to help somebody else. I can have joy in the midst of sorrow, in the midst of loss, in the midst of wondering, because I know that God is going to use it for something good in the future. And He's going to teach me something. So we're going to look at John 16. It says, Jesus saw they wanted to ask Him about this. So He said to them, "Are you asking one another what I meant when I said, 'In a little while you will see me no more, and then after a little while you will see me'? Very truly I tell you, you will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve, but your grief will turn to joy. A woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come. But when the baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. So with you, now is your time of grief, but I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy." So we may be in the midst of the worst time of our life. We can even be in the best time of our life and have joy within that as well. But no matter what our life situation is like, we can always have joy and hope, because we will one day live in heaven with God. The ultimate joy that no one can take away from us is that we have a Father who loves and cares for us and is always there no matter what. My life verse is, God has said, "Never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you." And He means that. He will never leave you or forsake you. He's never going to toss you to the wolves. He's always going to be right there. And if you can't walk, He'll carry you. He never leaves you. Even if it feels like it, He's always there. He's just waiting for you to be like, "Hey, I need your help. Come help me." Because He's never going to burst His way in. He's always going to wait. But we can have joy and peace and hope in the midst of change because we cling to the unchanging God. He does not change. And that's what we cling to. I love you guys, and I hope that through this series you will realize that our God is unchanging and that He is so amazing. And I don't know what my life would be without Him. I don't want to know what my life would be without Him. So, I can't wait to see you guys again. See you next time. May God bless you.